I'm flying into Miami. I can't wait to share with you about my trip. I do miss Mr. Stave, but this is so exciting. I'm flying in. We'll be landing shortly. And then I'll send you videos and pictures. So cool.
So the plane landed here in Miami. Miami is at the very tip of the state of Florida as you look at this map here. And as she got off the plane, she went right away to this area called the Everglades. And the Everglades are, if you look at the key, they're basically kind of like swamps. And we're going to read about them here in just a second. But the Everglades became a national park as well. You see down here, it's kind of hard to read that in there, but it's the Everglades National Park. In this whole southern tip of Florida, if you can kind of see here compared to the whole state, all this southern part of Florida is part of the Everglades. So we're going to go read on a little bit more about this land form, this area that's in the southern part of the state of Florida, part of this southeast region. Well, Honey Rose has landed and shot that video to show us a little bit about this location. It's called the Everglades. And once again, this comes from that book that was on Canvas. It was a book that was in Epic. It was linked on the Canvas page for you if you wanted to read more about Florida. But let's read together. It says, the Everglades. The Everglades is an area of wetlands in southern Florida. It is a shallow, slow-moving river. Usually the water is no deeper than 12 inches. That's 30 centimeters. Tall sawgrass grows from the water in the north. In the south, water flows through swamps and salty marshes. In the early 1900s, people were draining the Everglades for farmland. Writer Marjorie Stoneman Douglas worked hard to stop this. Many rare animals live in this region. She wanted to save their home, and in 1947, Everglades National Park was established. This preserved part of Florida's unique wetland. Well, hang on, fourth graders. I think I got a text from Honey Rose. She's sending me a video, a little clip of her. She's actually in the Everglades National Park right now, in fact, and she's riding on an airboat through this kind of marshy, swampy land. It's called the Everglades. And I think she's a little scared. Something must be up. Let's take a look.
So I'm riding on an airboat through the Everglades, and I saw something really scary. Yeah, an alligator. I kind of wish Mr. Stave was here now.
Poor Honey Rose, I think she is pretty scared. The Everglades is filled with lots of wildlife. I hope that she's got somebody with her that'll keep her protected. In any case, we'll wait for another text from her or another video. As we're waiting, let's read on about the Everglades. There's this story in ReadWorks titled The Woman Who Saved the Everglades. Save the Everglades? I wonder what that could be. Why did it need saving? Here's the caption that goes along with the picture. It says, mangrove trees in Everglades National Park. And this looks even thicker and denser than that part that Honey Rose was in. Honey Rose is in kind of an area that just had like tall sawgrass. This actually has these trees that are growing up out of the Everglades. Let's read on. It says, the Everglades is a large region of wetlands in South Florida. Today, the Everglades is a protected region and is viewed as a beautiful, important ecosystem. But in the 19th century, people saw the Everglades as a useless, bug-filled swamp. So this might explain why it had to be saved. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, a writer and environmentalist, disagreed. She recognized the worth of the land and fought to save it. Hundreds of years ago, the Everglades covered, 11,000 square miles of South Florida. 11,000 square miles. For decades, land developers wanted to drain the Everglades and use the land for building and agricultural purposes. That means like farming. They wanted to farm the land. So in 1845, they got permission to begin draining the land. They dug canals to redirect the flow of water and to dry out large areas of the Everglades. On that land, developers built roads, buildings, and homes. Developers continued building on even more of this land until the 20th century. So the Everglades would actually even be bigger if it wasn't for this. And if you remember in our other article, they did talk about this. Remember they said in the early 1900s, people were draining the Everglades for farmland? So here's a picture of Marjory Stoneman Douglas. You see the title there. She's a journalist, an environmentalist, and mother of the Everglades. If it wasn't for her, who knows how much of that land would have been drained. There's a picture of her when she was much younger. So looking at that article, it seems like Marjory Stoneman Douglas is responsible for saving the Everglades, which is exactly the title, which now I guess it makes sense, doesn't it? Let's watch a little bit about how this happened and how she was able to save the Everglades. There's a book, actually, that goes along with it. So let's watch along with that for a little bit.
Don't give up, don't give up. Don't give up, don't give up.
At the very end of this, it's kind of amazing. It says, one person can make a difference. Marjory Stoneman Douglas helped save the Everglades. Look at that, until the age of 108.
Marjorie says don't give up.
So let's read just a bit more about the woman who saved the Everglades. It's on the back side of this article from ReadWorks that we have been starting before we looked at that other book, Marjorie Saves the Everglades. It says here, finally in 1947, the park opened, 4 weeks after the publication of her most famous book, The Everglades, River of Grass. Douglas had spent 5 years researching the ecology of the Everglades for her writing. In this book, she expressed her love for this habitat. The book was an immediate success, and many people joined her cause in trying to limit development in the Everglades. Even after the Everglades became protected land, however, people still tried to build canals and dams that would destroy the wetlands. Douglas knew she had to continue fighting for this ecosystem. She created the organization Friends of the Everglades in 1969. This organization is still around today. It tries to preserve, protect, and restore the only Everglades in the world. Douglas fought all her life to make sure future generations could enjoy and benefit from the River of Grass. So after reading about the Everglades and about Marjory Stoneman Douglas, you're going to move on now to the Canvas button where there's an assignment that goes along with this reading. It's just 3 quick questions as you go through and try to recall and remember some of the things we read about today. Well, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope we get some more updates from Honey Rose. I'm a little nervous for her at the same time, but I'm sure she's having a blast down there in Florida. All right, we will see you on Monday.